the web, I want to talk about two categories. Sort of things that are quick and clean, where you just get a chart right away, and then things where you're really trying to build a custom visualization that's interactive in some special way or isn't sort of a standard thing, okay? If you need to be down here, you better make damn well sure that you need to be down here, right? So like if you just need a donut chart that can interact to clicks, then you should be up here, you shouldn't be down here in terms of technology choices, right? So and it often ends up being that you try this stuff out, you're like, oh, I think I need a tree map, yeah, this is pretty good, and then you're like, actually, I think I really want to be innovative on the interface here. I think I really want to make something new that people haven't done before. And then you have to recreate what you did down here, and then add something else to it, or start from an example down here and add something else to it. So, so this is about whether you're using sort of a stock visualization or whether you're building something novel. Like I said, don't be down here unless you really need to be, okay? So up top, quick and clean. My two examples are HighCharts and D3+. These are the two things I'll talk about. HighCharts is a commercial product that's used in billion-dollar companies, huge set of libraries for drawing charts. D3+ is from our friends down there in Cesar's group that puts a layer of stuff on top of D3 to help you make charts more quickly while using a visual grammar that they really like. So it came out of some of the tools they've been building. So HighCharts, I put this one under configuration. You set up a bunch of metadata and then you say go. But you already tried it out, so I'll be quick here. It's a JavaScript library. I'm serious about not writing what you don't have to. Like really, just look at all their examples and see if they can do it for you. Huge community of people using it, like really huge, and that's tons of examples. There's other things in this space, like specifically if you need to be doing maps, you should be using Leaflet, or you should be using CartoDB online. So there's tons of more tools based on if you need to be doing specific things. For instance, mapping, there's tons that are just about mapping. Yeah, D3+. Okay, so D3+ is from the guys down the hallway. They came out of their DaViva stuff and things like that, and it's a really nice wrapper around a bunch of different types of charts, right? So you can do, and they have nice examples talking about doing, let's see, yeah, so like a stacked bar chart, right? So they have a visual grammar. If you want to buy into it, you get really nice stuff for free, and it's not a lot of code. As you can see again, there's just a JavaScript, basically a JSON object. Well, so yeah, it's a smaller community, but like we know them, they're down the hall. So if you need to do something, it's very easy to ask a question and be like, oh, this is so close to what I want, but can I get it to do this? And they're super friendly, so you can like go talk to them about it. So that's the sort of quick and clean, make stuff very rapidly class of visualization stuff that you can do, okay? And remember that you can do a lot of web-based stuff that isn't meant to be published on the web, right? So sometimes if I'm poking at something and I just want to see it on a chart, I'll just make a static HTML file, dump my JSON object into it, and render it with HighCharts, and just load it up in my browser from my computer. And I never published it anywhere, right? It doesn't go on the web. I'm just using it as a debugging tool, okay? So you don't have to be on the web to use the web technologies. So much more interesting are the custom technologies. So here I want to talk about two, D3 and P5.js. And the distinction I'll paint between them is D3, people talk about it as a visualization library. It's a JavaScript library. It's not a visualization JavaScript library. It's a library for transforming objects in the DOM, in the document object model. People happen to use it for visualization because it works really well for that. But they specifically, Bostock, when he was writing it, they specifically wrote it to be a very low-level library for transforming objects in the DOM. And of course, they were interested in visualization. The stuff they're doing now, I think they're at Washington with Jeffrey here, are just freaking amazing. They're really building really cool tools based on some of this like layers of visual grammar. People have used it because it's so low level. People have used it for an incredible amount of, it's so versatile that you can do a lot of stuff with it. But because it's so level, it takes a lot of commands to actually produce something that you want to see, okay? P5.js is an outgrowth of processing. So processing was created here by Casey Reese and Ben Fry, who were Midas students, specifically to create a visual programming environment for artists and people that wanted to learn how to work with how to work visually on computer screens and make things interactive. And it took off. It is now sort of de facto standard in creating visuals, from everything from a classroom environment to like fancy interactives in the background of a commercial on TV, you know, or a music video. So for some famous artist. So it's a huge population of people using processing. They rethought it with two folks whose names I forget. They rethought it and said, what would the same goals be on the web? Right? Not how do we port this. There is a port of processing for the web. That's called processing.js. P5.js is not a port. It's a rethinking of those goals for the web. How do we make a visual, a language and a library that lets people be creative with the web technologies that exist? So let's talk about D3 first. This is the transformation example for my categories. It's become the standard for custom visualization on the web. There's a bunch of other libraries, but this is the standard. So if you want to be doing custom visualization with JavaScript, this is the library to be using. Like I said, it's super low level. It feels a lot like functional programming. If you'll remember when I introduced functional programming at the start, the idea is that you sort of produce functions that transform your data. From this, it runs through your function, and then it turns into this. And then it runs through another function, and it turns into this. So it does transitions, and each transition doesn't hold state, right? It's not like keeping track in the transition of what's going on. It's just transforming your data. It can take lots of work, but it's hugely flexible. So I want to show, so P5.js, the thing to show there is, so like I said, so switching gears, P5.js, the thing to know there is that it's much better at working with rich media. Right? Like if you want to be doing an interactive visualization on the web that works with video, sound, text, shapes, all on top of each other, that's when you start to look at P5.js, right, rather than D3. You can do some of that stuff with D3, but it's not what it was made for. It was really made for these sort of transformations that can let you do flat visual representations. You can even do 3D stuff there, but like P5.js is much more invented for that. That's why they did it. It's also much more set up as a learning environment, right? Like D3 is production grade. P5.js was made with the same intentions as processing, right? So it's something that's meant for artists and learners, right? People who may not be like strict coders, but want to be creative in the medium that is the web. So it suits, that's sort of the angle, and it means that there's much better like spin-ups or introductions, and they're targeted more at learning. That said, it's pretty darn new, so it's not a huge user community. It doesn't have like a nice IDE yet for developing stuff, and stuff is still changing. But their demo reel's kind of awesome. I think I linked to it in the homework. If not, I'll add the link so you can watch it. It's like a video playing, and there's all this stuff just behind the video that you can click, and then it like pulls in some live weather, and it has all these bubbles that like move based on the wind speed of the live weather from a web API. You know, it's a really nice sound, video, interaction, API use, all melded together. So if you want to be making compelling multimedia rich stuff on the web, this is, I think, the avenue that you should really pursue. The syntax is a lot like processing, which we'll see in a sec. But so if you have some of those skills, they transfer over. But the media is much different. Okay? That's the quick introduction I wanted to do to P5. Their video that I linked, that I will if I didn't already link to, explains a lot more about how to actually accomplish that. Okay? And there's tons of other libraries on the web, but like honestly, unless there's a strong motivation for you to be using it, these are sort of the ones that I really would point to. Okay,